Here's an offer you can't miss. Switch to Air Business today and get Ireland's best value business broadband for our new lower price of just $34.99 a month. For more, visit air.ie/business, go in store or call 1-800-207-407. Air, Ireland's #1 business broadband provider. Subject to availability. Offers available to new Air Business broadband customers. Pricing excludes VAT. #1 broadband provider based on Comreg market share. For full terms, see air.ie/business.
Harvey Norman are your coffee specialists. Introducing the new DeLonghi Letter Explorer, the only machine to offer hot coffee, iced coffee and cold brew at the touch of a button. With over 50 new preset recipes for you to choose from. Enjoy the mellow, smooth flavour of refreshing cold brew in under 5 minutes. Made possible by cold extraction technology created by DeLonghi. Now $9.99. With interest-free finance available and our best prices guaranteed. Why shop anywhere else? Harvey Norman, your coffee specialists.
Go!
At AIB, we don't make technology for you to bank. We make it for you to live.
Just watch.
So you can apply and get a loan through your AIB app or online.
Knocking this out like it ain't no thing.
All from the comfort of home. Banking to fit the way you live. AIB, we back doing. Lender criteria, terms and conditions apply. Over 18s only, subject to approval. Security may be required. Allied Irish Banks PLC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Best staycation ever. One family, 60 minutes from home. 100 acres of stunning gardens. For, what's that tree called? 30-minute family picnic. Before the next adventure. 7 inflatable water slides, 6 belly flops, 15 belly laughs. One incredible day. Plan your best staycation ever at discoverireland.ie and experience the feeling of a holiday all in one day. Brought to you by Fáilte Ireland.
Attention motorists. Toll road charges in Ireland have now been increased. The biggest increases will be for motorists who are not yet registered for a tag or video account. To reduce the impact, register with EasyTrip, where you will save €1.20 on every M50 journey. Not only that, you can also upgrade your existing tag for parking all over Ireland. Simply register at easytrip.ie. That's easytrip.ie. Terms and conditions apply.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
This is Off the Ball Saturday on News Talk. John Duggan with you 3 to 5. Now, in just over 24 hours' time, the 2023 All-Ireland Senior Hurling Final will throw in between Limerick and Kilkenny at Croke Park in front of over 82,000 people. Limerick bidding to become only the third county in history to win 4 All-Ireland titles in a row. Kilkenny, the most successful county in terms of All-Ireland wins with 36, are attempting to bring the Lee McCarthy Cup back to Northside for the first time in 8 years. So on the line to look ahead over the next hour, delighted to be able to speak to the former Limerick captain and manager TJ Ryan, Kilkenny's ex-hurler of the year and a winner of 9 All-Irelands JJ Delaney, and in the neutral corner, the former All-Ireland winning captain Eoin Kelly of Tipperary. You can text us 53106, tweet us at Off the Ball. You can watch us across the country as well as listening on the Off the Ball YouTube, Twitter and Facebook pages. Just to let you know as well, Cillian Buckley's getting married today to Niamh Dowling. So congratulations, Cillian and Niamh. Walter Walsh, best man. Not a bad prep. Tommy Walsh and Paul Murphy have been lording it, JJ, and Off the Ball in recent days, dominating the conversation. So he's decided to invite you on and for a bit of common sense.
I don't know if I ever bring common sense to any conversation, John, but look, I can try my best now today. I'll try my best because the emotions are very high at the moment as well. You know, we're looking forward to the big game there tomorrow. So Saturday before an All-Ireland, I never really make too much sense, John, to be fair. You know what I mean? But no, looking forward to the game. Can't wait to see what's going to unfold tomorrow. You know what I mean? The anticipation, the matchups, wonder what's going to happen. Your mind will be racing all week. You're not even involved, but as a supporter, your mind is racing all week. And look, we finally seen the teams named and the squads named, but will there be changes to that again? That's the next question, John, you know.
Do you miss it? Do you miss being out there?
Yeah, you miss it. Look, the body can't do it anymore, but the head still thinks you can. You know, especially the build up to the final. Like, you know what I mean? The great buzz around Kilkenny again. It's huge. Yeah, it's huge. Couldn't know the park getting tickets there yesterday, and just the buzz around the place. You definitely miss it. Yeah.
TJ, you're having the time of your lives the last few years down in Limerick there.
100%, John. Yeah, it's fantastic, and kind of living in the moment in a way, and not really counting numbers, and maybe not much talk about the 4 in a row, just trying to deal with maybe each match that comes, and just the 2023 All-Ireland as a standalone. But yeah, when you look back over the last number of years, it's been phenomenal, especially given where we've came from in the 45 years preceding 2018. Yeah, it's we're still pinching. Yeah.
Kieran Carey was in here for the semi-final, TJ, and he was saying that he was at peace with what happened in the 90s, and maybe the last years have helped that. And are you at peace?
100%, yeah. Just really enjoyed the last number of years. Just enjoyed the fact that when we did have the players that we could go and do it, there was loads of question marks, everything pre-2018, but like once we got that good group of players together, and these guys went and banished all talks of everything that went before us. So now we're kind of going knowing that these guys, there's a serious consistency about them every day they play, and just really looking forward to it, and great to be here in the Limerick Tunes in Croke Park like regularly. So long may it last, John.
Absolutely, JJ. Obviously, you know some of the lads as well, having played with them and as the manager and worked with them. Like you played with John Kiley, for example, in the 90s. Talk to us about John the man and the hurling man that he is.
Yeah, John lives just up the road from me here in Galway, and he would have been deeply involved in the club there. And Galway probably would be a bit more known for football side of things rather than the hurling side of it. And he joined Gareth Spillane, just turn of the century, and just wanted to kind of maybe drive on the hurling side of it. He was on the Limerick panel in the 90s. He was in UCC, so he was a big hurling man. He went on to be principal in the Abbey inside in Tiptown in the road. So very successful in everything that he's done, and he's been involved in any of the teams back along. All those teams that spoke for themselves. So great opportunity came along for him, and he's put a huge backroom team together. Really, really kind of high expertise in all the areas that's required, and they've delivered in spades. And look, I always say every ship has to have its leader, and I said every probably manager in the past got to blame when things didn't go right, so he's fully entitled to all the plaudits that are going on at the moment. He's done a fantastic job, and what a record he has in finals, John.
Yeah, 12 out of 12. Eoin Kelly, I've been doing a lot of reading this week ahead of the final, and all I keep on hearing about is standards. And is there a sweet spot in that? Because everybody should have standards, but when they slip and lapse, when they become oppressive and maybe stifle freedom, do you know as well? What's the sweet spot in terms of standards? Because it's a word that's just thrown out there, but what does it actually mean?
Yeah, I think TJ has touched on it there. It's probably that high performance environment that you want to be in, and that's a couple of words thrown out, but that's when you wake up in the morning, what you do for your breakfast. That's your planning ahead for your meals, your planning for your gym sessions, your recovery. It's basically it's living like a professional athlete in everything that you do in your preparation. And I was listening to a couple of interviews during the week as well, and Niall Moore, of course, cousin of my own, I was listening to him, and he was saying that a couple of those players, and he was complimented because he was a guy that really looked after himself and probably trained at a high level as well. And I'm sure TJ would have came across those guys when he was manager, that. The Keane Lynch and these, when they came into the panel, they probably had 6 or 7 leaders in there that were really driving it. You must remember Limerick won the Munster final as well in 2013, and Declan Hannon, I suppose, was on that squad. And so really then when the successful underage teams came through, the 221, Keane Lynch, all those players like that, they really said, look, we want to be part of something that's top, high standard. And they probably saw that from some of the players. And players drive a dressing room, and if you have leaders inside that dressing room, and I know the word leaders is always thrown out there, but it's what they do every day. It's what they do with those 20 hours each week when you're not training, because it might be an hour to train, 2 or 3 hours where you're at trained, and then an hour home. It's the rest of the hours what you do. That's where you get your preparation and keep the standards that high. And I think that's it in a nutshell in the GA world, because we're obviously not semi-professional, but more or less, but it's an amateur game. So, but it's in your approach, and how you look after yourself, and they're the standards. And I think TJ mentioned consistency there, and both Kilkenny and Limerick have that consistency. And I'm sure the Kilkenny younger players came into that same dressing room when they saw what TJ prepares himself, the likes of Owen Cody, Evan Mullen, all these guys, and it's contagious. That's probably it, John. It's actually contagious when you see the top players, what they do, how they prepare themselves, mindset, and even with their own physical body. That's what they do. But the consistency of Limerick and Kilkenny, don't undermine that. This is the third national final they've been involved in the last 12 months. Last year's All-Ireland, the league final, the back end of All-Ireland, and that's what standards bring. They bring consistency, and I think you have probably the 2 most consistent teams contesting tomorrow's All-Ireland.
Be fair to Derek Lyng, JJ, there's not much talk about Brian Cody in the this week, and I suppose that's credit that Derek just carried on what Brian was doing.
Yeah, look, it's absolutely phenomenal. Derek was there for a couple of years as well, so he's seen probably the ins and outs of what was going on in Intercounty Manager. But look, it's a different story when you take the top job. TJ will have to tell you more than anyone, because look, your neck is on the line straight away with that too. Look, he kept he kept the kind of more experienced guys like Conor Forty, Richie Hogan, Walter, and these guys. Now there were probably always rumours at the end of last year where they want to go and give it another year or not. But I think he done the right thing. And in the background as well, he's trying to blood the Kilkenny under-20s that he knows very well over the last couple of years as well. So yeah, look, I think he's getting the mix, the balance right. He played a lot of the under-20s in the younger guys in the league campaign. David Mansfield took his opportunity and absolutely flew as well, so he was brilliant. Mikey Butler came on again. He's been phenomenal now since the start of the year again. You know what I mean? He had standards, but he's after going up higher again. You know, so no, it's a compliment to Derek the way he's handled the whole situation. Couldn't be easy to take that job. The easiest thing would be to actually turn down the job and let someone else take it, because look, obviously Brian is an unbelievable figure within the GA, not just in Kilkenny Hurling management. Look, the record he has over the last 25 years, it's phenomenal. It will never be touched again. But he's coming on and he's put his own mark on it. Now, he didn't change things drastically. He didn't have to, because the guys were in the final last year as well. And he had the foresight to see that too. Now they're playing a slightly different brand. They're playing through the lines a small bit. Even with Mikey Butler getting his goal in the Leinster final, I'd say if that was under Brian Cody, once he got to halfway, he'd be told to go back and mark his man. I'd say, you know.
Also, Mullen's pink boots as well, JJ. I don't know if Brian would allow that.
Yeah. The first time we've seen that now. That was fairly noticeable. Now Derek would like his fashion as well, so he'd probably let things go. But again, that showed people expressing themselves as well. You know, the kind of way. And Adrian, one of these guys, he'd be a free spirit as well. So yeah, look, if you can back up 3 or 4 pints, 5 pints every game, look, wear any colour boots you want. You know the kind of way he can wear. As long as he does it tomorrow as well, I don't mind. You know the kind of way. And that's Derek's mantra as well, I suppose. And with Peter Barry as well. Peter Barry was always a brilliant kind of player. Even when he was a player, he was a great guy to bring the lads on with him. You know the kind of way he'd go out of his way to make sure I was coming into the panel when Peter was one of the main guys there, and we were going up and down to Waterford. He was driving us back down, but he'd go above and beyond to make sure you're setting into the actual panel and make sure it's not being overwhelmed either. You know, I can see him playing a huge role in the background, getting the guys in tune and getting ready for the weekend as well. You know.
Of all the 9, JJ, do you have a favourite memory of the All-Irelands you're involved in?
Yeah, I suppose my last one, 2014, I kind of knew at the start of the year that I was going to be finishing up. Anyway, no matter what happened, we got bet in the first round. I wasn't on the panel or wasn't on the team. I had my mind made up. I was just gone. Mentally, I just had enough of probably of the inter-county kind of scene scenarios and probably the way it was going regarding professionalism and all that kind of stuff. I just couldn't give any more to it. So no, that year I was kind of enjoying every game from game to game, because I was approaching it as my last game there as well. So to go to the replay and beat, beat Tipperary in the replay there as well is something special, because I just live up in the border up there in North Kilkenny, and to lose that one to Tipperary now would have been a hard one to take, you know, the kind of way. But no, yeah, exactly what I have to say. 2014. My last year there as well. Knowing it was my last year walking off Croke Park after winning All-Ireland, it was special. I stayed on the field for maybe 15-20 minutes after the game just to soak the whole thing in, and just to sit down and just look around my surroundings, saying, knowing to myself I'd be never in that situation again. It was just special. It was special, to be fair.
How did you hook Seamus Callan, and how did you do that?
An act of desperation, John. That's exactly what it was. But look, suppose the way Owen Murphy's been playing over the last 3 or 4 years, I could let Seamus in and Owen probably would have saved it anyway, you know, the way he was going. But I tried to actually foul him before he went on the run, because I knew I wasn't going to catch him, but I was hoping the referee would blow the whistle before and give a 21-yard free. Grand, okay, well, I'll take a seat in a pint, but when he got in. But no, I was lucky enough. I got back and I said, John, an act of desperation. I never done a jump like that before in my life, so I kind of had to do it if I didn't. And Seamus got the goal. I'd say Brian Cody would have given me the curly finger at half time then after it, you know, the kind of way. But no, lucky enough it came off. And I always kind of say that the mentality we had that particular game was Pádraig Welsh was right half back, and that was over in the left corner, and he was the next guy in to hook Seamus, as I was on the ground and Seamus was still up and he was going to pull the ball into the goal again, and Pádraig was back there giving the second hook. So if he had made that hook, it wouldn't have been mentioning my hook either. So that was just mentality. We were all in it together that particular day, and it's lucky enough it came out the right side of it.
Disappointing, isn't it, for Declan, Hannon and Sean Finn, isn't it, TJ? But I suppose Cian Lynch was in that position last year, and it's just the way it goes, and Cian was up there with Declan lifting the cup.
Yeah, unfortunately with the modern game and the way these guys push themselves and the way the S&C has gone, John, injuries are part and parcel, and we're probably hearing maybe more about cruciate injuries now than we've ever had in the past. So they're just dreaded injury that puts fellas out for a long time. But I think in fairness, and when you hear the Limerick guys speak, they very much speak about the group, and like when somebody's out, it's the next man up, and that's what their expectation is. And they're even kind of saying when they're not there that somebody else plays. But given, I suppose, from Declan's point of view, what he'd done leading this team and captaining, let's say, the team to win 4 Irelands, like, it's a phenomenal achievement, and it is a pity obviously that he's out. You'd love to see him on the field. And the other thing I'd say about him, John, is like his performances in general have been excellent for Limerick, but particularly his performances in Croke Park, they've been really, really good. He's chipped in with lovely scores at different times, and just when you see your team in that Ireland final and the centre back leading the charge, coming up the middle of the field and putting a long range score over, it does an awful lot for the team and defends and drives everything forward. So yeah, big loss.
So is William O'Donoghue the right man there then, as he was in the semi-final?
Well, he certainly was the last day. And, you know, in fairness to Paul and John and the way the Limerick played, they have a very structured setup, certainly defensively into the middle of the field, and the way that Ace play. And, you know, there's a lot of expectations of how they play and how they move the ball. And he's slotted in there really, really well. He likes using the ball well anyway. It's part of his skill set. So I think so. And I said the semi-final result and the way he used the ball, and even his couple of turnovers as well there just before half time, they were crucial. So yeah, I don't see any issue there. I suppose one other factor that has come into it, John, this week is that Richie English, unfortunately, who's been super cover for the backs, is that he's had another unfortunate injury and he's out. So he's going to be a loss. And, you know, maybe that cover mightn't be maybe as strong as it once was before, certainly defensively. So look, Limerick survived grand. I won't say the finals without 2 forwards last year, and you know, we were talking during the week to say if you were in a team, is it a bigger loss to be short 2 key forwards or a bigger loss to be short 2 key defenders? So we probably won't know the answer to that until after the game tomorrow, but there's certainly a huge loss. And you know, Owen Cody has having a super year, and last year's All-Ireland final, Sean Finn did a real good number on him, and Owen Cody was taken off in the 52nd or something minute. Like, so yeah, we could be talking about that loss afterwards, but in fairness to the group right now, they're getting on with it. It's next man up, and so one man's kind of misfortune is another man's gain, and he'll start.
It's gone crazy down there. My mother's from Limerick City, TJ, and it's really been an amazing run. And even Philip Lanigan was writing during the week about the fact that rugby was the sport of the city, and now hurling's obviously rivaling in that at the moment. Just in terms of the 4 in a row, is that even in the? I doubt it's in the conversation much of the panel because they're so process driven. But is it there? Is it in the atmosphere in Limerick?
You know, yeah, of course it is. It comes up as part of the conversation. And look, I think maybe in the GAA there's something really romantic about maybe 3 in a row, and then the next talk maybe goes in the GAA goes to maybe 5 in a row. But 4 in a row, to be even talking about it, as I said to you, is phenomenal from Limerick's point of view. You wouldn't have thought it certainly a number of years ago. But like I said, these guys keep breaking new ground and they keep hunting history, and it's great to have it in the conversation. What I would say there about Limerick is the city, in fairness, huge sporting city, and they always get behind whoever's moving. And in fairness, Munster Rugby had it in the past, and you know, I mean, they had a good summer too. But it's been a great summer in Limerick, and the GAA probably has driven that. Certainly the hurlers being to the fore, bringing big crowds, big games, the Munster final, just been a great buzz around in general, and people are just kind of hyped up. And you know, the hurlers definitely to the forefront and leading that charge.
Owen, were the games against Kilkenny, the 4 in a row 09 and the 5 in a row 10, as good as they looked at the time?
Oh, they definitely were, yeah. No, you know, I was kind of thinking to myself, what's the similarity between 09 and even tomorrow? And obviously Limerick going for the 4 in a row. Kilkenny were going back in 09, but you know, I suppose it's interesting to find that Kilkenny are going into this game like we were probably going into the game in 09. They're probably the underdogs. They feel they've nothing to lose. Even though I think when you go through the Kilkenny team and the top players like TJ Reid, that they haven't won an All-Ireland since 2015, that's something that wouldn't sit well with them, like, you know. And if TJ loses tomorrow, it'll be 5 All-Ireland losses. I know he has 7 medals, like, but I actually don't think the Kilkenny motivation with the senior players, the more experienced players, will be stopping Limerick's 4 in a row. I think it'll be relieved that they've won an All-Ireland after maybe 7 or 8 years. I think that's going to be the driving thing. You know, they'll, like, in 2015, they maybe thought they'd clip another couple of All-Irelands after that, and they didn't. And that's sport, like, that's the way it works. And you know, so I think it'll be relief. TJ, like, was 27, 28 probably back in 2015. Now look at his age, 35, 36. So, like, he would not have said, I won't win another All-Ireland. And the calibre player that he's been he's put in, he's been unbelievable. So, I think it'll be more relief in the Kilkenny dressing room, and then those younger players want to get their hands on the first All-Ireland as well. So you can see the hunger and the motivation that's coming through Kilkenny, and I'm beginning to hear it over the last few days, the real drive to win this All-Ireland. It's amazing all the success they've had, but that's in the past. You move on. And in fairness to Limerick, then, I think John Kiley has managed that incredibly. He has lesser time, I suppose. Usually there was maybe 3 weeks or a month between an All-Ireland semi-final and a final. Now you only have your 2 weeks. And even when you think of the 4 in a row that Limerick are looking for tomorrow, Dublin have probably broken all those stats and that. Was it 5-6 football Irelands that they've won? So they're probably a team, and it already has been done in the Ireland world as well. Kenny, Cork in the past and that. So, I think it's just getting your hands. But I think TJ made a valid point there when he said Limerick, they're now down 3 of their top 7 defenders. And it's probably something that's playing in my mind a small bit. If they do pick up another injury in that intensity, and with the likes of Owen Cody and these guys, Billy Ryan going at you, lads that have legs, it will be very interesting to see how that fares out, because it's a big ask going in down 3 defenders of your top maybe 6 or 7. So, TJ's just probably put something in my mind there that Kilkenny probably will go after. But no, look, you just want to get a performance. That's all the chat the last 2 weeks, that Kilkenny and Limerick dressing room performance, process driven, just keeping your routine. And I think you'll definitely get both teams that will turn up tomorrow and perform.
Oh, when you're 19 in 2001 in an All-Ireland final and you're taking the frees, you got 7 of them for Tipperary and you won. Is there any difference between taking frees in any normal game and then taking them in an All-Ireland final at Croke Park? Because I just get the sense with TJ Reid, you just know tomorrow every free is going to go over.
Yeah, it's actually funny, and this might sound right, but actually I found it always easier to have an All-Ireland final to take frees, because all you saw was the goalpost. 80,000, 82,000 in the stadium. All you actually saw was the white post. Today, have an All-Ireland semi-final or maybe a quarter-final, you might look up and you might see a bit of concrete. There was more distractions going on. I just found the day of an All-Ireland final, you just actually see the white post, and that was it. And maybe you were just even that extra bit more focused and tuned in as well. And I think both free takers tomorrow will be on their game, and although the weather, I think they might be given a swirling kind of a breeze tomorrow, that can be an added thing thrown in as well for free takers. But TJ, I'd expect him to be 10 out of 10 tomorrow. And then on the Limerick side, once Aaron Gillan steadies up, he'll be fine on from 50 yards in, and Diarmuid Burns is hitting him very well. But look, they're given the weather to be unpredictable tomorrow. So I always found a swirling breeze too, maybe between the Davin end and the Cusick stand side in Croke Park. So they're the little things that probably supporters don't see, maybe, or guys at home watching on the TV. But I think, look, both teams are well used to playing in Croke Park and performing. They're free takers and teams. So I'd say they'll have all that well covered off before the game starts in the warm-up.
JJ, you were wing back in 03, for example, when you were hurler of the year, and then you played, as you said, full back in 2014. Which is the harder position?
I definitely think in the full back line. If you make a mistake in there, you're turned straight in for a goal. It's very, very noticeable. You make a mistake out in the half back line, then it's a long way to, you can see the point, fair enough, no problem at all. The crowd don't get onto you too much, but if you can see the goal, especially at certain periods of time, say 5-10 minutes to go, or even just after half time as well, because I found when you can see this goal after half time, I think it's very hard to get that momentum back. You don't have any breaks in play anymore. You're kind of clawing back that kind of 3 points as well. So I think full back was a bit harder. The way the ball was being played in later on in my career, the way the ball was played in, and regarding the tip forwards were absolutely brilliant at as well, just in regard to making space for each other. It was just phenomenal. When I started, probably 6 positions, 6 forwards, that was it. You had your own position, that was it. But when I finished up, just movement again of the Tipperary forwards were more than anyone, were just used to isolate. It's like they knew where to go, and they used to isolate you one-on-one. You're looking around there at any particular time, Jesus, there's 40 or 50 yards of space around me here. Where's my full back line? Where's my 2 cornerbacks? They're going up the field, they're going following their man. But they knew what to do, and then especially the tip half back line were very good at popping ball into space there as well. So I definitely would say the full back line, I suppose I was getting older and the legs were getting a bit slower as well, John, as well, so that didn't really help matters either. So definitely the full back line was a lot harder for me now.
When I look at Aaron Gillan, 111 against Clare, JJ, 2-6 against Galway, Hugh Lawler, it's going to be some battle tomorrow.
Yeah, Hugh is probably our best performing player over the last 5-6 years. I'd say he's been absolutely phenomenal. He held Aaron Gillan to 2 points there last year's final. I know Aaron probably had an injury coming into the final there as well, we're kind of banking on. He does a similar job on Aaron Gillane as well, because Aaron Gillane, when he scores a goal, it's more than 3 points to the Limerick team. You see the crowd just roar when he does get it, especially if he catches over the back's head and turns. With Galway against Dottie, he caught the ball, turned and swiveled it before you even touch the ground. He was absolutely phenomenal what he does. But yeah, Hugh will go battling with him. He won't mind getting out in front, or he won't mind if the ball goes in high there as well. He'll be strong enough to wrestle him as well. And for a big man, he's very, very quick off the mark as well, so you won't fear that space in front of him too. But if I was Hugh now, I'd be pleading with Conor Fogarty and our half forward line not to give these Limerick lads space and popping in the ball, because they're so good at what they do. Darragh Donovan, especially when he gets on the ball, he looks up to see Aaron Gillane. If the defender's out in front of him, he'll pop it in over their head. But if they're standing behind him being cautious, he'll just pop it in front of him. How many scores do you see Aaron Gillane just the ball just bouncing 5 yards in front of him taking on the turn? And they said once he gets the ball in his hand, you never see him getting the ball took off him. You never see him getting hooked or anything like that as well. He always gets shot off, and 9 times out of 10 he will score that. So Hugh has a big job ahead of him. But I think our midfielder, I'm delighted to see Conor Fogarty back in. He's hurled very well as well. He's that kind of competitive player that we need around the middle to block up and even shorten that clearance into Aaron Gillane, shorten by 5-10 yards, just get a block or hook or something on it, just make it hard on him. If they're standing hitting the ball, it's so easy for it, because they'll poke it into Aaron Gillane's pocket. So yeah, Hugh's a huge job ahead of him. But again, I back Hugh now in regarding what he's done previously on Aaron as well, to be fair. So yeah, no, it's going to be one of the key battles, which will be all over the field as well. But I'm looking forward to, as I probably played in full back line myself, I'm looking forward to see Hugh and Aaron Gillane go at each other as well. I can't wait for that now.
Absolutely. TJ, you were an inter-county, both forward and back for Limerick. Which is easier?
It's definitely easier playing the forwards. I'm with JJ there. The full back was definitely came a lot more responsibility and a lot more pressure because of those mistakes. And I was going to say, like, the wing back there was loads of fellas who liked to play beside the crowd, like Dalo and Mark Foley and Landers, Tommy Welch. Nobody play wing back. But way more pressure at full back and stuff. Jay just touched on there, like the modern game. I'd say it's probably even more difficult because, in fairness to the teams, their hurling IQ is probably maybe a little bit sharper. The quality ball coming in, like at times, is literally unmarkable. It doesn't really matter who's in there. Like, they get the time of their run right. If they get first run, and you're really, really difficult. And you're dead right with that matchup with Hugh Lawler and Aaron Gillane. And Aaron still scored 3 points in play in the final last year. So, and you probably would come away from it and say that they had a good game. Like, but he's been a key player for Limerick. Like that, and maybe the Owen Cody, Mike Casey, one at the other end, are probably two of the ones that stick out as the key matchups. I probably might go with JJ and say, like, the press. And depending on what Kilkenny do, like Limerick's half forward line scored 113 from play in the final last year. I'm going to be maybe curious in the first 5 or 6 minutes here, John, to see what sort of an approach they take. Is it full press? Are they following those guys all over the field? Limerick had Kyle Hayes at centre forward last year. Gerard Hegarty's displays in All-Ireland finals now are legendary. He scored 1-5, and Tom Morrissey got 4 points. So that was a huge return. So it's a different approach. Derek and the boys maybe might slightly do something different. I'm not sure whether they'll leave Richie Reid sitting in the pocket and maybe let the other boys press or whatever, but I'd be curious to see that area. So we might pick 1 or 2 key battles, but for me, I think Kilkenny's management of that area, I think, is really important for them.
And Nicky Quaid, you would have known Nicky because he played under you, TJ, and obviously he's still a huge figure, as is Owen Murphy, and the poke-out strategy from both keepers is going to be crucial as well, TJ.
Yeah, two of the best keepers of all time, to be honest, and nothing between them. And we were kind of chatting during the week, if you had to pick an Irish team who would be playing in goals, would be a great argument, I'd say, around many tables as to whether you go with Nicky or go with Owen. Both of them have different super traits, but Nicky has been huge in this team. His calmness, he knows obviously the runs of the lads, and he kind of mixes that puck out beautifully in terms of going short, and then when that full press comes, he's able to go along with a guy running into space, and again bouncing the ball already in front of the player so they're not breaking stride. That's actually very difficult, getting the timing and the accuracy of those. And you know, his consistency of performance over a long period of time now is just phenomenal, and I would say possibly maybe key in the overall structure of the team.
In terms of the way that Limerick moved the ball, is that an issue for Kilkenny? Because they're like machines, the way they move the ball so quickly, and that's the way they almost broke down Galway in that semi-final. On the other hand, you're thinking about Kilkenny, nobody's going to work harder, nobody's going to get more out of themselves. So there's just kind of, and Limerick have started slow in games. So there's a few like teams here that might come to pass once again, that we see Limerick get into a game, play for 75 minutes, but we also see Kilkenny getting the most out of themselves, as they did against Galway late on in the Leinster final, and also in the early stages and the latter stages of the Clare game.
Yeah, it's interesting, John. TJ mentioned one or two things there about Limerick and maybe how even Kilkenny will set up against them. But I was at the 2021 All-Ireland final against Cork, and at the very start of the match, you could see that the Cork half-back line were actually pressing up on the Limerick half-forward line. But it went man-to-man with them. And Paul Kinnerk was actually at the Cusack stand side of the field, giving instruction to Kyle Hayes just to let the ball in, because you remember in that championship, Kyle Hayes, we'll all remember his goal against Tipperary when he ran 40, 50, 60 yards just up in the net. Kyle Hayes actually got the ball in front of me, and you could hear the Limerick supporters roaring him on, because it was like he had a runway in front of him, but no, he didn't. He looked up, gave a lovely cross-field 60, 70 yard ball into Aaron Gillan. He just bounced in front of him, turned it over the bar. So like, Limerick play to that structure, and they play to the influence of Paul Kinnerk as well, like on match day. You know, he just gets that word in, however he gets it in, be it physio, doctor, whatever it is, and they stick to their plan. You know, so it'll be interesting to see that tomorrow. Kilkenny then, if you go back to the 19 All-Ireland semi-final when they actually beat Limerick, obviously their physicality that day was unbelievable from the off. They hit everything in a green jersey. And they went long that day. They had Colin Fennelly inside, and it worked a treat for them. So now you actually have TJ Reid inside. So you have that option of going long. And I suppose if I go back to the league final, and I was down at it in Cork, Kilkenny probably, that day, it felt they had no presence inside. Now, Adrian Mullen clipped 4 points from half forward that day, 2 or 3 at the start of the game. But it felt they had no presence inside. And you never felt Kilkenny were going to get to grips with that game in that league final. So I'm sure they'll look at those couple of things, where it has worked for them before, where it hasn't worked for them. And I think Kilkenny have evolved in their state of play throughout the season. I saw them in the city game against Tip and Nolan Park, and they were just probably trying to get that ball through the lines going, and they were actually terrible that day. Tip opened them up in the first half and hit the net 2 or 3 times. But it will be very interesting to see. But if Limerick get into that rhythm around that half back line midfield and start pinging balls in front of Seamus Flanagan and Aaron Gillan, I think it's very hard to defend that, and that's what they'll have to cut out. They'll have to stop that, Kilkenny. And then, I think they might, like with TJ inside, Kilkenny can improve with that ball play. Adrian Mullen can clip long range scores and that, and TJ inside, and he can win the ball anyway. So it will be very interesting. I'd say you could see both teams mixing up what way they actually play tomorrow, depending on what way the opposition is setting up. But the one thing Kilkenny against Limerick in the past is probably thought about the way Limerick play, and I think if Kilkenny go down that road and overthink it, it won't do them any good tomorrow. I think they just need to play the way they play, the style of game that they play, which is their intensity, physicality, and just along and mixing it up. But it'll be very interesting, and we will see all that tomorrow as the game evolves.
JJ, just before we go to the break, John Keenan did a brilliant job in that Munster final at the drawn. Well, then obviously went to extra time, and Limerick won it last year against Clare and Thurles. But he let it go. He let it be a very physical match. And look, it was on the edge at times, but it was just an incredible spectacle. So, do you think that'll influence the thinking of any of the players? The fact that John Keenan's in charge and has that reputation, I suppose, in one big game of letting it go.
Yeah, I think both sets of players would be very, very happy with what's with the referee appointment there as well, because he does let it go. He's very, very sensible referee there as well. Like, we don't want to go tomorrow and see just a game of free takers, Aaron Gillan and TJ scoring 15, 16 points for frees. That's not good for any supporter either. They want to let it go, and you do get that bit small extra of a grace, if you want the word of a call it, in our final there as well, because as I said, it is hot and heavy in the first 15-20 minutes. It's just all helter-skelter, all over the field, physicality, and then it kind of settles down itself. Once it doesn't kind of go overboard in the first few minutes, he'll ref it the way he wants to ref it, and the way he wants to ref it is by letting it go. And I think it's been a great appointment, and everyone who's seen John Keenan and as an appointment as referee, they were absolutely delighted to see it, because he will let it go. And as I said, once the players are sensible, hit with the body, keep the hands down, and no head-eye tackles, because the last thing you want to do again is sending off or something like that there as well. But yeah, the players will be happy he's there. But again, It's all about the ball. There's no point in having a referee there or being overly physical if you don't have the ball in your hand. Yeah, you have to go 100% when the ball is there, but as I said, you have to have the bit of cuteness there on the ball. You have to be calm. You can't be worked up when you're on the ball as well, especially the final. It'll pass you by very, very quickly, so you'll only have the ball in your hand maybe a handful of times, so you have to make the most of it there as well. But to come back to your initial question, they'll be looking forward to the referee, as I said, once they don't go over the line,
JJ Delaney, Eoin Kelly and TJ Ryan are on the Saturday panel looking ahead to tomorrow's hurling final between Limerick and Kilkenny. If you want to get in touch with the question, our 53106 at a cost of 30 cents on our text machine, also at Off the Ball on Twitter. We're back after the news, don't go away.
Get real-time updates at Newstalk FM on Twitter and stay informed. Newstalk, conversation that counts.
Here's a match in the morning. But wait, a nod from the barman. There's Guinness 0-0 on tap. The chaps are back on. Sean is in full swing and a fresh pint is handed over the bar. Guinness 0-0, 100% Guinness, 0% alcohol. Proud partner of Croke Park Stadium and proud partner of the GAA.
Visit drinkaware.ie.
Design driven by impulse, performance in tune with your emotions, an instant connection. Electric. At Cupra, we believe in galvanising these instincts. It's why the Cupra Born, our 100% electric model, looks, feels and behaves unlike anything else on the road. Follow your impulse and visit cupraofficial.ie to see our incredible July offers. Cupra Born. Test drive today. Own it tomorrow.
What makes us love our county so fiercely, despite all the summers of hurt? What lifts us back up year after year after year? What stirs such passion in our hearts and brings us out in our thousands? It's something intangible, deep in our veins. It's our county. It's our people. It's in our blood. AIB, the toughest. Proud sponsors of the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €2.5 million. Play responsibly in store, in app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Harvey Norman are your furniture specialists with incredible savings on sofas and dining furniture. Kick back and relax with recliner sofas starting from only $699. Save up to €1,000 across our collection of corner sofas and get your free matching footstool for a limited time only. Or entertain in style with our range of dining tables from only $499. Shop these sofa and dining deals and so much more in store and online at Harvey Norman, your furniture specialists.
Go! The boys are back in town. Celtic are back at the Aviva Stadium, taking on Wolves on Saturday, July 29th. Don't miss your chance to give the kids an unforgettable experience this summer. Celtic v Wolves at the Aviva Stadium, July 29th. Kick-off 2 p.m. Grab your seats now at ticketmaster.ie.
From family breaks to Mediterranean escapes, make it a summer to remember and discover our best Irish and European hotel deals at gobreaks.ie.
Go Breaks! Go full Lidl today for savings that stack up, like 4 Irish Bord Gais approved skinny burgers worth $3.79, now $2.99. Toss in our deluxe salad trio, was $1.59, now 99 cents. And top it off with Santa Rita Sauvignon Blanc for $7.99. Go on, shop without compromise. Go full Lidl today. Get the facts, be drinkaware, visit drinkaware.ie.
Follow at Newstalk FM on Instagram for the latest videos from our presenters, reporters and team behind the scenes. Newstalk. Conversation that counts. On 106 to 108 FM, on the Newstalk app, powered by Go Loud and smart speakers. This is Newstalk.
It's 2 o'clock. Good afternoon. Concerns have been raised over the low level of uptake for the rent tax credit for 2023. New figures released by the Department of Housing show 40,631 people have claimed the €500 rent tax credit to date this year. Senator Mary Fitzpatrick, Fianna Fáil's spokesperson on housing, says the low uptake is disappointing.
Those figures are up until the start of the end of June or the start of July. Last year, more than half of all registered renters claimed their tax credit. We'd like to see all renters avail of the €500 tax credit, and really would encourage renters to apply for it and avail of it. It's their money, it's their taxes they're claiming back.
A man in his 20s has been arrested after reports he was seen with a firearm on a train heading for Cork yesterday evening. The incident happened near Templemore train station in Tipperary at around 10 to 7. The man was searched by Gardaí and found to be in possession of what is believed to be an imitation firearm, subject to technical examination. He's currently being detained at a Garda station in Tipperary. Increasing the VAT rate to 13.5% will mean job losses for small operations, according to one local hotelier. The current 9% VAT rate for the hospitality sector was designed to help the industry to recover from the pandemic. Wicklow hotelier Lorraine Sweeney says the lower value-added tax level was a lifeline during COVID-19.
The decision to extend the lower VAT rate was designed to help the hospitality sector to fully recover from the pandemic fallout. The industry has not fully recovered to pre-pandemic levels, and so I think serious consideration has to be given a further extension on the VAT rate at 9% until the industry fully recovers, and it hasn't fully recovered yet. So, I mean, we would have to judge it on a year-by-year basis, let's put it like that.
Harry Styles will end his 2-year-long Love on Tour stadium tonight at the RCF in Italy. The tour focuses on his third studio album, Harry's House. Throughout the past 22 months, Styles has completed 7 legs of the tour and a total of 169 shows. It's 2 minutes past 2.
News Talk weather.
Thanks to Ryanair. Cheer on Leona and the European Solheim Cup team with Ryanair's low-fare flights to Malaga in September.
Mainly cloudy and wet throughout the day, highest temperatures of 16 to 20 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
This is Off the Ball Saturday on News Talk. John Duggan with you 3 to 5. We're talking hurling ahead of the final between Limerick and Kilkenny tomorrow at senior level at Croke Park. Over 82,000 people, 3:30 throw-in tomorrow afternoon. We're joined on the line by the former Limerick player and manager, TJ Ryan, the Kilkenny All-Ireland winner JJ Delaney, and the Tipperary All-Ireland winner Eoin Kelly. Cillian Buckley getting married, and congratulations to him, and Niamh Dowling as well. Congratulations, Niamh. Walter Walsh, apparently best man today. JJ, did you ever have something like a wedding or anything else significant clash with an All-Ireland final weekend?
No, I can't think of anything happening before. I think I actually met Cillian in Kilkenny there during the week. Very, very calm about the whole thing as well. No, I didn't speak about the wedding or the match, to be honest with you. Probably was the last 2 things he wants to talk about this weekend, you know, the kind of way. But no, he seemed very relaxed, good form. I think they're getting married there in Castledora there today. It's a good preparation for it. I don't know what the story, are the players are going or not. I think Derek's after leaving up to the players if they want to go or not to the mass. They can go and they can obviously head home after. But look, it'll pass the day. From I always found the day before the Ireland very, very long. It was just your waiting for the hours to tip away and get through it. And just all you want to do is get to the Sunday morning. At least you can get your back in with your teammates and you're getting going again. And your mentality is like, right, we're in this together. So I just found Saturdays for Northern Ireland dragged out very, very long, and you're trying to divide everyone. You want to talk about the match, you can't turn on the radio or the television because they're talking about the match there as well. So you're in your own little bubble there. But I found Saturday very, very long. But again, look, I suppose it'll pass the day for a few of the lads as well. But it's unfortunate, but look, it could be an unbelievable weekend for Cillian, getting married and winning an All-Ireland as well. So it'd be a great story to tell the kids now in a few years' time, won't it?
Yeah, did you remember anything about the preparations over the years you got right or wrong?
No, I kind of stick to my routine really more than anything. It was kind of basically just drink as much water as I can, just get hydration right, get the kind of food intake right there as well, and the right things to eat there as well. So I kind of stuck to what kind of worked for me in the past. I kind of have a routine there as well. As a player, I'd have my routines, and I'd be very I'd have to hit every single one of the routines as well on the Saturday and the Sunday as well. So I had them all ticked off there as well I make sure I get them all ticked off there during the day. But nothing major now, to be honest with you, in regarding anything that went wrong or anything, because they're all in your control really more than that. So you just kind of get focused there for the day, for the next day really.
TJ, any mad interruptions for you around All Ireland final weekend?
No, unfortunately, John, I didn't play enough of All-Ireland finals. During a couple of championship matches at different times, right, as a player and a manager, I think definitely early on as a player, I did a young fella getting communion one day, I think the same day as we played Tipperary in championship match, and then even as a manager another day, I think another young fella getting confirmation. So those type of things. But I think everybody knows getting involved, certainly with inter-county GA players, that everything revolves around the game and training. And look, that's the way we're structured. It is a lifestyle choice, and unfortunately everything else takes a back seat. It's not nice at times, but that's the commitment that you're looking for, and looking for from everybody within the group, that they're just totally focused on the game and they give up everything else and everything goes on hold.
Was it addictive management?
Playing was definitely addictive. The management, not so sure, John. You wouldn't miss it. Definitely nowhere near as much being involved in a team. Everything, nothing replaces the playing and that rush and just getting out in the field and just enjoying that piece. Couldn't say that the management. Maybe Owen is in it more recently. He might be a better man to ask the question. But for me, it certainly wasn't addictive. No.
Full time, very much full on.
Sure it is. I probably even got out of the game a good while now. I'd say the guys are there at the moment in terms of every aspect of it has moved on. Like you're talking about maybe the headspace and the performance coach, people dealing with that, the video analysis, the logistics. Every finite detail now is really well worked out in advance, and the organisation is top class. There's just a huge amount of work. I think everybody would agree, definitely from a management side, it's probably 40-50 hours a week involved in making it all aspects of the game, training. And it doesn't start, let's say, at 7:30 when training starts and finishes at 9:30, as everybody would know. There's not a lot of organisation going in to get that right and get the weekend right. And there's a lot of what ifs as well. And I'm sure both camps will have all their what ifs well sorted, literally down to what if the bus breaks down, John.
Yeah. Owen, I was reading Joe Canning in the Irish Times this week. He has 64 requests one year for All Ireland tickets. Did you get that many, Owen?
No, not that many anyway, no. And there was two of us, myself and my brother Paul, so we used to be able to divide out the tickets fairly well. But they're all the distractions that come with an All Ireland. And you know what? It's probably nice to have them because it means you're there in the last day of the year, But just the way hurling is, look at the Leinster hurling final. As I often say, sometimes when you win, it's not everything you do right. Sometimes when you lose, it's not everything that you do wrong. And I suppose that Leinster hurling final, that was just so unlucky for Galway that day, and it turned out a brilliant day for Kilkenny, and you saw the way they celebrated what it meant to them. And that's All Ireland finals. And I suppose, look, I could talk about probably 2009, because there's probably similarities to tomorrow. And we performed that day, Tipperary against Kilkenny. We showed up, we got our purple patch, and we probably only put maybe a point or two on the board, when we could have put maybe 2-4, 2-5 on the board. I missed a goal chance after half time, so did Seamus Callan. Kilkenny got their purple patch in the second half, and they put about 2-4, 2-5 on the board. And that was the difference. And I just think maybe Kilkenny will have to, when they get their goal chances tomorrow, if they get their goal chances, that they'll have to take them. They've scored 15 in the championship this year. Limerick have scored 9. So they do know how to hit the back of the net, but look, you just have to nail them when those opportunities arise in front of you. And probably that was 2009. We went down to 14 men, and probably still remember that. There are things that can come into play tomorrow. We don't know. The 19 Ireland, Kilkenny went down to 14 as well, and remember in that 2009, Kilkenny got the goal, and then the ball came down, and Michael Kavanagh was the free man at the time, and he actually kept the ball in from going out over the sideline. He kept it in, slid out, kind of a wet day again, small bit of rain, slid out, kept it in play, picked the ball up, struck it down the field, and ultimately then Maron Comfort, I think, ended up with the goal, which kind of finished the game. So look, there's twists and turns tomorrow, and that's the enjoyment of it. But I'm just looking forward to the intensity and the ferocity of it. But I think both teams have unbelievable skill levels. And JJ mentioned it earlier on about the ball. Kilkenny years ago, everyone was talking about the physicality, and people were nearly upset about their physicality, but they're some of the best stickmen that ever played the game, and I think Limerick fall into that category. Or if Grot Hegarty gets a sniff of a score from 100 yards, he'll pop it. Same with Diarmuid Burns. So we're blessed that we have teams that bring what we love to it, the intensity, the physicality, but they match it with the hurling ability and their skill levels. And we haven't even mentioned the likes of Owen Cody, what a player he's turned out to be.
Yeah, 421 he's got this season, JJ Owen Cody, and he's a captain as well. A young man in his early 20s, and has kind of put it a bit to the critics, has said we're a good hurling team, and maybe Kilkenny need that a bit of siege mentality tomorrow too, as well as the calmness of being precise.
Yeah, I think so. I think he had a great interview after the Clare match there as well. He spoke very naturally as well, to be fair, but he spoke what he thought. He probably didn't think that players were getting enough credit. I suppose over the last couple of years, everyone's saying Brian was getting the best out of these players as well, and Brian was getting the credit rather than the actual players themselves. So maybe they're bring that on their own back as well, to say, right, we have to kind of get up and kind of write our own story really more than that's all. But look, go back to Owen, you'd see glimpses over the last 3 or 4 years, but look what he's done for Kilkenny and Ballyhale more than anything. It's absolutely phenomenal what he'd after winning, and that mentality of going back to Ballyhale and winning club championships, winning All-Ireland club championships. You can't buy that. When big games, he stands up more than anything. So I'm looking forward to see what he does now tomorrow. Again, probably a shootout between himself and Aaron Gillan for Hurler of the Year as well. So former young Hurler of the Year too. So like, he has great pedigree there as well, to be fair, and coming from an absolute phenomenal club that keeps on churning out player after player after player, especially forwards as well. Probably the hardest kind of player to make as well. But Ballyhale seem to have it down to a T now at the moment as well, you know. But and as captain as well, and had a bit of bite from Owen there as well, to be fair, because he can mix it, he can be physical, but when he gets the ball in the hand, he's very, very direct as well, you know. That kind of way, he'd be a nightmare to mark.
Keane Lynch came back in there the last day and did really well in the second half. TJ Ryan, when Owen talks about stick men, this is one of the finest we've ever seen, and look, his influence tomorrow probably can't be underestimated.
Absolutely. Huge player for us, and I think it's offset the Declan Hannon injury very nicely, in the sense that at least when you're bringing someone like him back, it's a huge impetus for the squad. I think you could make the same case for both Adrian Mullen and Keane Lynch. They came through the 70 minutes lovely. I think both camps will be saying that's beautiful now, nice 70 minutes. The trajectory is going to be upwards from here. They're very important players on either side, but Keane's midfield and maybe a slide to centre forward at times, that works really, really well, and he's definitely somebody that can unlock in a very small space something like creating that second goal chance for Aaron Gillan the last day. And he's a huge player for Limerick, and I do agree with you. I think coming through the last day, I think we're going to expect more. I think we're going to have a big game in Keane tomorrow.
So TJ, what's the argument for Limerick? You obviously believe you're going to do it. What do you think the reason is going to be?
I think the argument could be similar to both sides. I do think the two best teams are in the final. They were both in the league final. They both win their provincial finals, and they're here now. You can pick maybe one or two holes in both sides to say maybe Kilkenny got a little bit fortunate, maybe Limerick were a little bit fortunate, maybe in the Munster final, whatever way you want to look at it, and say that they only got over the line and Kilkenny went away to Wexford and they got beat. However, right, huge strength of both these teams is I don't see it as being lucky. I think it's staying on point, staying focused, sticking to the plan, getting the job done, and they're both really, really good at that, right? I like the trajectory of where Limerick are at, coming from their qualification through Munster final, really got to grips with Galway after about maybe 30-31 minutes the last day, and powered on and got some great scores. Key players playing well. All those things are a huge plus, and I think we're going to get Limerick's best performance of 2023 in the All-Ireland final, and that's what I'm hanging my hat on, John.
JJ, what's your argument for Kilkenny?
Yeah, just what he said in his last sentence, that's what every Kilkenny person is afraid of, that Limerick do hit that fifth gear come tomorrow as well, and they haven't so far now, not consistently over a period of a game, and if they do, it's going to be a very, very difficult uphill battle for Kilkenny as well. But look, Kilkenny are going up with kind of the closer you get to the match, then the more kind of slightly confident you're getting as well. I'd like to see TJ out at 11, to be fair, because Will O'Donoghue is you're trying to not pick holes in this Limerick team, but even a glimpse of a side of a weakness there. Declan Hannon is going to be a huge loss there as well, and that means, as I said, TJ said earlier on, that Kyle Hayes was up centre forward last year. Now he's wing back. With Declan Hannon gone, that'll secure him back in the half back line as well. So that's taking 4 points away from their scoring threat from last year as well. But I just think with TJ out centre forward, if he drifts out left or right, Will O'Donoghue follow him? Declan Hannon probably wouldn't, because he's been used in that heat of battle in Croke Park. He knows the lads are going to do it. But I just can think it might kind of might be a small bit of pathway for down through that centre of the defence there as well. Look, again, I'm kind of talking here now within hope rather than expectation, but yeah, look, it's, and like Billy Ryan will have to play Owen Cody, Mossy Keown. If Mossy Keown goes in full forward and he's more of a goal threat in there as well, I think himself and Dan Morrissey, if that kind of it will happen some part of the game. I think that'll be huge. 2 physical men, but I think when Mossy gets the ball, he turns, he goes straight for the goal, and he probably got 4 or 5 goals so far this year as well. You know the kind of way. So I just think that, look, going back to it, Kilkenny, you had 15 scores in last year's All-Ireland. TJ got 9 from frees, didn't score from play. Cody only got 1 point from play last year as well marshalled by Sean Finn. So them 2 lads will have to have huge games, but the sporting cast will have to kind of step up to the mark. Tom Phelan will have to get a couple of scores from play. John Donny will have to get a couple of scores. Billy Ryan will have to, I think, rattle the back of the net there as well. So a lot of things will have to go right, but again, going back to TJ's last sentence, that if Limerick hit 5th gear, it's going to be a huge uphill battle for Kilkenny. But no, talking to a few guys over the last few days, the closer you get to it, then the more kind of confident you're getting. Look, is that your heart ruling your head? I don't know. We won't know till tomorrow afternoon. But I just think it's going to be a cracker. 2 teams at their pump, physical teams, strong teams going at each other. Definitely strong there as well. And again, well able to hurl too. So I'm looking forward to a huge game tomorrow.
And to finish in the neutral corner, the Eoin Kelly big match verdict. So I'm just looking at a couple of things. When Clare went direct against Kilkenny, they got real pay in that second half. Early stages of it, 9 points to 2 they had scored Kilkenny before Kilkenny came back and won. And Kilkenny have scored an average of 32 points, conceded just over 25 in this year's championship. Limerick have averaged 26 points, conceded just over 24. So a couple of question marks, but how do you see it going, Eoin, tomorrow?
Yeah, look, I think it's well discussed there now with the 2 lads in that, you know. Like last year, I felt Kilkenny to win the game, they would have to go smash a grab job. And in fairness to them, they kept themselves right in the game, but they never kind of looked like scoring a goal. I've mentioned it already. They will need, I think, 2 if not 3 goals to beat this Limerick team. If they get those chances and score them, I'd give them a great chance. Now, I put a lot of, I suppose, expectation maybe on TJ, Owen Cody and Adrian Mullen, the 3 Ballyhale guys again. They have to deliver massive performances. 119, I think they had between them the last day against Clare and that. But they are the calibre of players they are. They can do it. And that's probably where Limerick will try to marshal those and curtail those 3 guys. But I just think goal chance. I much prefer the Kilkenny bench for some reason tomorrow. It'll be very interesting to see will that have a big impact. So that's where Kilkenny need to be. If they get the goal chances and they score them, they'll give themselves a chance. And I think they'll feel a bit more confident this time around than last year. But then on the flip side, and TJ mentioned there, David Reedy and Cian Lynch, both of them being able to interchange in that. Because anytime David Reedy played middle of the field for Limerick, okay, it was coming off the bench maybe when the game was a bit more open. He's used to possessions. If he got 6 or 7 possessions, he scored 3 points. He maybe set up another 2 or 3. And Cian Lynch going in at 11, that can upset any team. So I just think going on the league final, I thought Kilkenny that day overthought Limerick and Limerick's tactics and Limerick's puck outs and all that. I think if they go down that road, they won't hurl to their ability. I hope they don't, because as a spectacle, I just hope Kilkenny go out and play Kilkenny's way, use the ball long, use the ball short after developing this season. But I think Limerick's intensity and, I just think Garrod Hegarty, like 3-14, I think, in these last 3 All-Ireland final appearances. I think if he plays, Tom Morrissey plays, I've no fear about Aaron Gillan and James Flanagan. I think they'll get motor, and I think Limerick are going to be very, very hard to stop, and I just think somehow they'll grind this one out.
We got to leave it there. All I can say is may the best team win tomorrow. Really informative discussion. Our thanks to JJ Delaney, TJ Ryan and Eoin Kelly. Enjoy the match, lads. Have a great day.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John. Thanks very much, John.
Thanks, lads.
3 hurling legends on air there with us. And after the break, we're going to hear from a range of speakers discussing the barriers and solutions in growing participation rates in Irish sport for people with disabilities. We're back after this.
Off the ball on News Talk.
We're a happy family, and I suppose one of the things that I can take some comfort from is the fact that the boys were loved and had happy lives, and they knew they were loved. They loved